Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Villains on the Rebirth server. We are with Nightmare Lass, our level 38 mastermind who has over 6 million experience with 841,000 to go to get to level 39 and 144 million infamy. We're beginning a story arc for Kelly Ukwa. This will be the last story arc we do at level 38, and then I'll bring you guys back when we get to 39. So she works with the Cray, or yeah, she's a member of the Cray, and so we're going to be helping the Cray do stuff. She says, I would like to acquire your services for an extended contract, Nightmare Lass. Please allow me to explain the situation that I think needs your services. Any company as large as Cray Industries can sometimes come under scrutiny from government agencies. Occasionally, these agencies may even attempt to take action. We believe that Longbow agents have been conducting anti-corporate espionage against Cray Industries, particularly against the Technology Acquisitions Department, of which I am a member. If this investigation were to conclude successfully, then it might place Cray Industries in a compromising position due to rickety assets in our control, assets some of which you helped procure. Therefore, preventing the success of this investigation is a high priority. Can I count on your assistance? Sure you can. Since the first step in countering this investigation will be to ascertain what Longbow knows and what they're investigating. Longbow has a small listening outpost where they are compiling data. I want you to deal with their main intelligence gathering agent and get the files. So now we are going to head to the outpost, get the files. You'll notice it is still dark. It is still Halloween. Here we are, November, 6th or something, and it's still Halloween. I'm kind of getting sick of it. I mean, this has been like at least a month and a half of this, which is way too much. I know people like the Halloween event, but that's just way too much. That's like 10% of the year you're under the Halloween. I mean, now it's not a holiday, it's like one of the main parts of the game. That's just ridiculous. And my guess is they're going to go straight from this into the like winter holiday business, Christmas and stuff. So then it's like from Labor Day till late January, you're on some sort of a holiday event. That's too much. It's just too much. I like this server, but I really wish they didn't have quite so much of the Halloween business. And didn't they do Christmas in July as well? So like, have we had a non-holiday period on this server since like June? That's just ridiculous. Half the year you've got holiday events going on. Now they're not holiday events anymore, they're just part of the main game, which makes them not be special. It's special when it's only happening for 2 weeks in October, you know. It's not special when it happens from mid-September to mid-November every year. Then it's not special anymore. Alright, so we need to find the data and defeat the investigator. Are you coming, my little children? So we're going to be fighting Longbow in here. Should not be a problem. Watch how fast their hit points drop. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and we were talking about role-playing games. And so let me start this. So this came about because we both read the D&D Beyond forums, and she plays in my D&D campaign, and she's new to playing D&D, and we were just talking about some of the stuff going on in the forum, and I was mentioning this story to her, and then I talked about mysteries in City of Heroes, actually. So let's start with the actual topic. Somebody made a post to the D&D Beyond forum, and this is a DM who seemed frustrated, and he was frustrated because one of his players always plays what the player calls a chaotic neutral character, and this is a very common alignment for the reason I'm going to say. So alignment in D&D, let's start right at the beginning. Alignment in D&D is basically the philosophical outlook of your character. And there are two axes of alignment that are opposites. There's the good-evil axis, and there's the law-chaos axis, right? Order and disorder, goodness and evilness. And so your character can be anywhere along the axis on any of the on either of these axes. So you can be a lawful or a chaotic or a neutral character who's in between the two. And you can be a good or an evil character or a neutral character in between the two. And you combine the two to get your alignment. So you can be lawful neutral or chaotic good or neutral evil and so forth. And so the normal thing for player characters to be in Dungeons & Dragons is some sort of a lawful and or good character. So either lawful neutral or lawful good, or chaotic neutral, or sort of chaotic good, neutral good, or lawful good. And I would say the majority of players are probably playing neutral goodish characters. So their characters may not care that much about order, disorder, law, and so forth, but they do care about good, and they tend to be heroic, and they're trying to rescue innocent people from the orcs, and so on. When doing this, there are a lot of players who really want the freedom to just do whatever the F they want, right? If I feel like gutting someone tonight, I'll gut him. If I feel like saving a hostage tomorrow, I'll save them, right? So they just want the freedom to just do whatever they want, and in many cases, do whatever is min-maxy, whatever is most effective for their character. So if it's going to help their character become more powerful, more effective to steal a magic sword, they want to take it because what they care about is making their character effective. And so it's very common for players who have no intention to actually roleplay anything sophisticated, who just want stuff and just want to have whatever they want whenever they want it, to pick the chaotic neutral alignment. This is not an accurate manifestation of chaotic neutral alignment, but it's what the player thinks is an accurate way to get what they are after, which is I just want to do whatever the heck I darn well please, right? They don't have to follow law, they don't have to worry about good and evil, they're chaotic, so they, like the idea, the description in the old school, AD&D books is a chaotic neutral character cares nothing for good or evil and is just basically trying to maximize the disorder of the universe. They're basically Captain Entropy, trying to increase chaos and increase disorder, and they really don't care about good or evil. They're not trying to help or hurt people, they just want to increase chaos, right? And so the players think, well, if I just decide to steal a sword today and save an innocent tomorrow, that's increasing disorder. But what they're really doing is not disordered. It's actually quite ordered because there is an underlying plan that's not at all random. That is, I want to increase my character. I want my character to get better. I want to have what I want, right? I want to get more money, more gold, more treasure, and more experience. And by doing these things that are seemingly random, I will get more experience, treasure, etc. So what they're really doing is trying to min-max their character, and they know that it's not in character to do these things because it's metagamey, so they make up a character that basically they can justify anything that they do, or so they think. That's the whole idea behind the chaotic neutral character being played this way. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody playing a chaotic neutral character is in fact trying to just min-max. Lots of people have reasons for it, but it is the case that most of the time when you have a player who just wants to do whatever the heck he darn well pleases in every single situation and not have to justify it, not have to be tied down by roleplay, they pick a chaotic neutral alignment because they think that they can pretend that they're just doing roleplay to do these random crazy things, right? Or these selfish things. And so it's often the alignment of the selfish player. Whereas most of us would consider selfishness, real selfishness, where you're sacrificing other people for your own gain, not to be chaotic, but evil. And so what they're really doing is being neutral evil, but they call it chaotic neutral because most game masters won't allow an evil party, and most other parties don't want to play with an evil character. And so that's kind of the beginning of this story. So here's our data. We can go ahead and click on this. Let's fight the longbow first. So this dungeon master comes onto the D&D Beyond forum, and he complains that he has this player who, every time he makes up a character, it's chaotic neutral, and he's doing exactly what I described, right? He's basically just doing whatever he darn well pleases, and then justifying it by saying my character is chaotic neutral. And he keeps insisting that his character isn't evil. And so then in describing what his complaint was, he said things like, well, he asked me what the DC, which is the difficulty class, that how hard it is, what you need to roll, what the DC is of an insight and a perception check. And so I flagged this and said, players aren't allowed to call for skill checks. That's the Dungeon Master's job. And you're not required to tell them what the DC is, and I generally don't. And I wouldn't, because I think it leads to metagaming. So there's the investigator. He's the boss. Let's see if we can pull the little yellow con out of there. And I said, one of the problems you're having is you're letting the players know what the difficulty class is, and because these guys did this like crazy thing where they murdered a bunch of merchants, and then the player who was playing the chaotic neutral character who had done a bunch of evil things said to the DM, you tricked me. I didn't realize, by the way, notice he's got these purple triangles around him. That means he's got some defense, so we're going to reduce that defense by using Anguishing Cry. So he said, DM, you tricked me into murdering these merchants by telling me they look nervous and making me suspicious of them. Like, you knew my character would probably attack them, and you tried to trick me into doing something evil because you think my chaotic neutral character is evil, and so forth. So there was a whole big thread, and I don't want to get into the details, but as we were talking about this, I said, well, you know, if you didn't let the characters know what the DC is, they wouldn't know, for instance, that they succeeded or failed on an insight check, which is to tell if somebody's lying. So if you say they seem nervous or truthful, they can't know whether it's because they failed the check if you don't tell them what the DC is. And he said, look, my players absolutely would revolt. They would not play with me if I didn't tell them the DC. And then he said, they really hate losing due to random die rolls. They don't like that. They don't mind if they lose because they did something stupid, but they hate losing because they just got unlucky with the dice. And I said, well, but that's kind of D&D. And I pointed out that there are diceless role-playing games, like the Amber role-playing game from the old days. And diceless role-playing games don't have that sort of random element that D&D and even City of Heroes have. And so if you don't like things like randomly missing when and losing a battle because you randomly missed, we've seen it here with me. If you go to the Silver Phoenix playthrough, her first death in the 30s was because two Cray lieutenants martial attacked her at the same time, and those two hits were enough to kill her, and they hit simultaneously, and there wasn't enough time for me to pop a heal inspiration, and so I died. And both of them basically rolled below the floor, right? So it was just lucky they both rolled below a 6, and they both auto-hit. And there was nothing I could do about it, and I died due to pure luck. Now, I had actually over-aggroed, so I did something stupid, but imagine I didn't over-aggro. I was managing my aggro really well, and I just got unlucky with two simultaneous hits from two guys that should have missed me because they were floored, and they hit me just by luck. And so if you don't want that kind of thing to happen, you need to play a game that doesn't have random elements to it. Many MMOs do not. They don't have to hit. Many MMOs these days, if you attack a target, you automatically hit, and you do a fixed amount of damage. This attack at this level does 50 damage. There's no randomness. And by the way, that's true in City of Heroes. The damage we do is the same every time we hit with a given attack against a given minion, right? There's no randomness to how much damage. It doesn't do 20 to 25 damage or 30 to 40 damage. It does 25 damage or 60 damage every time, right? So there's only randomness to hit, not to damage. And many MMOs have no randomness to either of those things. So if you don't like miss streaks and randomness, try to find a game that doesn't have these random elements. And it's the same thing with Dungeons & Dragons. If you don't like the fact that you could roll on die 20 and miss, play a game like Amber that doesn't have these die rolling elements. So anyway, that's what we were talking about, and that's sort of a long way around to the comment about miss streaks. And what I said to this friend of mine is, miss streaks drive me crazy, but I haven't noticed miss streaks in a really long time playing City of Heroes, and I thought about why that is, and I realized it's because I'm playing a Mastermind. And it's not that Masterminds don't miss, because I miss all the time with the teleport, but I don't hit over and over again with it, where I notice a streak. But I'm sure my pets are getting miss streaks, but I don't notice it, because there are 6 of them, they're attacking all at once, some of them are going to hit, so I don't really notice the miss streaks. Right? I only notice if I miss, and I don't generally attack with this character. So I have the feeling when I stop playing her and start playing a martial artist or something again, or dark melee or whatever, go back to my brute, I'm going to start getting frustrated with miss streaks again, because not only do I hate them, although I still like random elements in role-playing games, but I'm not used to them, right? I haven't had to deal with miss streaks in 38 levels with this character, because she doesn't attack. It's just her minions that attack. So anyway, it's really interesting that by playing a Mastermind, I can sort of, it's not that the miss streaks aren't there, but I can sort of ignore them, because my minions are the ones suffering from the misses. Okay, so we got the data, and we defeated the inspector, and she says, thank you very much for recovering the data. It might have been very damaging had any of it leaked out. Cray Industries is always willing to assist local governments when it helps all involved. But sometimes we must take pains to make certain that governments do not interfere with our company goals. I hope you didn't waste your time trying to sift through all of this. I appreciate the desire for further assistance, Cray Industries, but it's a bit outside your contract. So what does it actually say? So she's impressed by our work and asked us to retain us for a long-term contract. Apparently some investigations from Longbow were getting just a bit too close. The first job was to break up the Longbow. It was mostly dry financial stuff, but there were some odd notes handwritten on it here and there. She made no mention of it, though. You have to wonder how important it could be. Next mission, part 2. She says, I've had some people examine the data you acquired, and it has presented us with an interesting opportunity or two. It seems that Longbow has acquired a piece of Richter technology, and they plan to analyze it. Doing so might reveal certain technical secrets Cray Industries would prefer to keep a monopoly on, or even worse, eventually lead to Heroes acquiring this technology. I would like you to remove the threat to Cray's technical leadership. So we'll destroy the item and all its evidence. Sanitize the Longbow lab. So we're going to just teleport over there. This will be our second and final mission of this episode. I think 2 missions an episode is pretty good in terms of length, unless this is super short. If it's super long, then it's super long. It's actually getting near to lunchtime, so I do want to, I'm hungry, so I do want to get to lunch. But let's do this mission first. Who is this? Operative Rutger, and I haven't done his story arcs either. Yeah, I guess I moved. Wow, that's weird. Why? Oh my gosh, I'm actually inside the building. Wow. Okay, so here's the building, guys. And we should be outside of it, right here. But we ended up materializing inside it somehow. So this is interesting. I hope we're not going to be bugged. Let's hit in, and then I'll buff the minions once we get inside. Seems okay. We're fine. Hopefully when we come out, we will come out in the right place. Okay, so let's buff our minions. 1, 2. And notice how we came in through a regular door, but this is a sliding door. There's a little bit of a mismatch there. Longbows, go get killed. Bye-bye, longbow. So yeah, I hadn't really thought about the fact that I never noticed missing. The once or twice I have actually tried to attack with this Anguishing Cry, and it looked like it might have missed. I was just shocked, because like I never deal with missing anymore. I also didn't think that that power could miss. I'm still not sure if that's the one missing, or if I'm getting a miss message from something else. But I don't see the miss messages from my minions when they miss. Oh, I was going to teleport to Spec Ops, but he saw me. That's fine. Alright, so sanitize the lab, recover the research, and destroy the artifact. And I guess kill everybody along the way. Yeah, when it comes to alignment, I don't know that I've ever played a chaotic neutral character. I usually play a neutral good or a lawful good character. I'm a big fan of lawful good, especially paladins. I've always loved playing the lawful good paladin, who's like this holy warrior serving a god of goodness, you know. I've always liked that. I tend to like to play, you know, mostly heroic characters. What's in here? Nothing. Well, that's weird that it's an empty room. Most of my characters are either lawful good, neutral good. I've occasionally played a true neutral character or a chaotic good character. I tend not to be very good at playing chaotic characters because I tend to be inherently a sort of an organized, orderly type of a person and not good at just doing random crap. When I play a chaotic character, it's often someone who is kind of in opposition to, say, the local law for some reason. So, for example, if I were playing a character in a Golden Age setting, right, in Nazi Germany, who was like a German that was trying to fight the Nazis, well, the Nazis are a lawful evil regime, so to be the opposite of the Nazis, I would say that's chaotic good, right? You're not going to obey the laws of Hitler and the Nazi regime, so you're going to go against their law, but you're being good because you're opposing their evilness, and you're trying to like break into concentration camps and free people or what have you. That'd be a chaotic good character. So under those circumstances, I can kind of see it. Most of the time, I like playing good characters in particular, and historically, either that or lawful neutral. I do that a lot too. I tend to be in real life to be very much more comfortable when I'm following the actual rules. Hey, great example. I am playing on the Rebirth server because the Homecoming guys said we're not allowing any videos of the Homecoming game, right? Of the Homecoming server after March 8th of this year, and so I immediately stopped. And so there are all these videos of Silver Phoenix that I recorded that I did not post because they told me they didn't want me to post them and it was against the rules. Now, there were people who said, well, there are ways, right? I could have videotaped it and claimed it was the Rebirth server, and it could have still been the Homecoming server. And realistically, what are there, 100 subscribers or so to this channel, and maybe 12 people watch each video and 1 or 2 comment on them ever? And so, like, who the heck is going to report it to Homecoming? They're not even going to know. So I could probably get away with not following the rules and do whatever I want instead of what they want. But I'm kind of a lawful good person, and so I follow the rules. I don't follow rules mindlessly or slavishly. If the rule is incredibly stupid or harmful, I will try to fight it, but I also follow the rules as written most of the time in my everyday life. And so I think, realistically, I'm a lawful good person if you were to do my alignment. And so because that's true, I tend to play characters that are at least one of my 2 alignment halves, either some sort of good or some sort of lawful. When I made an assassin up in D&D, right, assassins had to be evil, but they could be any kind of evil. Guess what he was? Lawful evil, right? And I did that because, okay, he follows laws, but he's evil, right? So he'll follow evil laws. He follows rules, right? If he gives his word, he will keep it, right? He's not going to betray his word because he's a lawful character. There's a really funny player on Matt Colville's stream who plays a lawful evil tiefling anti-paladin. Her name is Anna Coulter, I believe her name is. And she is somebody who's worked with Colville a lot and played D&D with him a lot. And her character is a half-devil, and he worships Asmodeus, who's a devil. And so that's the Rigby artifact. We're going to need to do some teleporting. Come here, guys. And so they were talking about the difference between demons and devils, and she said something like, well, the difference is that devils are lawful evil, so that means we have standards. And I thought that was a really interesting comment. They have standards, right? They're evil, but there are rules that they follow. There are standards that they follow. And whereas a chaotic evil character is just indiscriminately evil and has no standards, no rules. They don't care about anything. They're just being evil for evil's sake. And so even when I played evil characters, I played a lawful evil character because I just would have a very hard time playing something that's both non-good and non-lawful. Again, I can do true neutral. I'm okay at that because it's not really doing anything oppositional to law or to goodness. But once you start getting into, I can play opposite, one of my alignments, chaotic good or lawful evil. But say playing like neutral evil, that would be tough, and playing chaotic evil would be almost impossible for me. And chaotic neutral would be very tough too, right? Because it's just basically being pure chaos. I can see being chaotic if the character is also being good, but again, you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And although I am good at role-playing things that are not exactly like me as characters, right? This character is evil, right? And she's sort of chaotic evil, but I'm not really role-playing her, right? I'm just doing the missions, and so yeah, it's an interesting concept, the idea of alignment, and it definitely it's definitely interesting to see different people's different interpretations of how alignment works and what different alignments mean to them. But again, I think that the chaotic neutral alignment is often used by people who don't really care about alignment. They just want to do what they want. And they think that that's the alignment to take if you just want to do whatever the heck you darn well please and not have to justify it in terms of your character or roleplay. And that's really not what the chaotic neutral alignment is supposed to be about. Anyway, she says, "Thank you very much, Nightmare Lass. You've done an excellent job. Who knows what those longbow researchers might have learned had they kept control of the artifact. Why, they might have leaped ahead of Cray Industries on numerous fronts. It's unfortunate that we couldn't recover the artifact either. But that's no fault of yours, so they destroyed the artifact. We were able to destroy the artifact. But again, there were some odd elements, something didn't add up, and we were well paid." Alright guys, so we have been playing for almost 30 minutes, so I think we're going to stop here. I will find a place to stop and rest and sell some enhancements. And I will see you next time. Until then, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Villains on the Rebirth server.